Hello and welcome to our webinar. I'm Miriam Brand. I'm Director of Product Marketing at Akeyless, and I'm very pleased to introduce Fahmi Kadiri. He's the Customer Success Director at Akeyless, and he will be speaking on secrets at risk, why legacy secrets management is failing your security strategy. So some housekeeping items before we start. If you have questions at any point in the presentation, please enter them in the question box, and we will address them in the Q&A section at the end of the talk. If we don't have time for your question, don't worry, we will get back to you with an answer by email. Also, this webinar is recorded and you will automatically, all registrants will automatically get a link to the on-demand webinar when it is finished and processed. So with no further ado, Fahmi, please take it away.
Sounds great. Miriam, can you hear me okay? Am I coming through?
Yes, I hear you fine.
All right, fantastic. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fahmi Kadiri. I'm Director of Customer Success here at Akeyless. And the topic today is going to be secrets at risk and why legacy secrets management is failing your security strategy. So let's start by making sure we're all on the same page here and define what it is that we mean when we talk about secrets. So think of secrets as, think of them as digital keys to the kingdom, right? And if they fall into the wrong hands, it could lead to all sorts of trouble. It's like having the keys to your entire business just laying around if it's not safely protected. And so in today's digital world, secrets are used pretty much in every application, every service, every interaction. And this brings us to the proliferation of secrets, right? So think about how much more interconnected everything is now compared to even a decade ago, right? So, we've got cloud services, microservices, all of these different applications that need to communicate securely. Each one of them comes with its own set of secrets. So the sheer volume of secrets that we have to manage has exploded. And it's not just a few passwords anymore. It's thousands, maybe even millions. And this is where the distinction between human and non-human identities becomes crucial. As humans, we use username and passwords, but increasingly, you have machines, applications, services that all need to talk to one another. And so these non-human identities rely on things like API keys, encryption keys, and certificates. And the number of these non-human identities is growing exponentially. So for every one human identity, you have over 45 times more non-human identities under the surface. So you've got this massive increase in secrets. What happens is if these secrets aren't managed properly, that's where you get into business risk and where risk comes in. Unmanaged secrets create huge vulnerabilities. So if you don't know where your secrets are, who has access to those secrets, and when they were last rotated, then you can have a massive attack surface. And it's like having countless of doors unlocked in your digital infrastructure, and the consequences can be severe. So, this is why it's important to understand the evolution of secrets management and help us paint a clear picture of why these old ways of handling secrets just isn't cutting it anymore, especially with the way technology is moving so fast. It's kind of amazing how much things have changed just in the last decade, even when it comes to this. So in the 1990s, picture this. The standard practice was writing stuff down in plain text, maybe sending it in documents, or even locking it away in a filing cabinet, or in some cases, physical safes. And most businesses didn't really see security as a central concern, that it is now, especially when it came to all of those internal passwords and keys. It was more of a necessary evil kind of thing. If you have regulation forcing you to do it, you did. Otherwise, it wasn't really top of mind. And so, security was more of a cost center. The very first password manager, called Password Safe, was released in 1997 for Windows 95. And the crucial thing about it was that it actually used encryption, which means that for the first time, you had the ability to securely store and manage your passwords. And so gradually over the next few years, we started to see more and more personal and personal security tools, focusing on encryption and protecting sensitive data. But fast forward to the 2000s and the 2010s, we see this massive shift in how businesses approach security for their secrets, both in human and non-human identities. And the big wake-up call for us was, the growing understanding of what the financial risks and implications are as it relates to data breaches resulting from compromised credentials. And we had some really high-profile breaches. The TJX company hack in 2003 ended up costing them around $260 million, so more than $250 million as a result of exposed customer data. And it wasn't just about the money. So it was the realization that the fallout from the compromised credentials wasn't, not just a technical problem. It was more of a business risk now with real financial consequences. And so you had, at the backs of that, you had regulations come in, making executive personnel more accountable for data security and the proper handling of sensitive data. Plus, you have the average cost of data breaches, steadily climbing. And so all of this financial pressure forced the organizations to get serious about how they manage all of their sensitive information. And that's when we started seeing the rise of on-premise vaulting solutions. So in 2015, HashiCorp Vault comes onto the scene. And it was a pretty big deal in the world of secrets. And what made it different from anything else that came before was that it helped to modernize how we thought about secrets, specifically, handling the complexities of secrets management for both human and non-human identities. So while it was, predominantly an on-premise type solution, it offered key advantages around centralizing controls for secrets management combined with an API-driven approach. And so basically it meant that organizations can start to automate more of their secrets management workflows. But fast forward to the 2020s, and we start to see this massive growth in cloud and multi-cloud sprawl. The pandemic lockdown in 2020 through 2021 accelerated this. Systems grew more and more complicated, and the applications that we use became more interconnected. So now, while we've improved security in some ways, we've also increased the operational overhead and complexity. So really what we've done is we've traded one set of problems related to manually managing secrets for another set of problems related to managing complex on-premise systems. And now and then with the adoption of cloud and multi-cloud, what you have is your infrastructure isn't just sitting in your data center anymore. It's distributed. It's constantly changing, and it's available across multiple providers. And so the traditional on-premise vaults, they weren't designed for this. They were designed for more static and static internal and cloud networks, not the dynamic environment that we have now. And so in the 2020s, the driving force is now speed and agility, the speed of digital transformations. Businesses needed to be able to move quickly to roll out new features and services and to leverage the cloud to stay competitive. And so what are some of the legacy pitfalls of what are some of the pitfalls of those legacy solutions? At a high level, it boils down to scalability, cost, and developer friction. So from a scalability standpoint, these vaults were built for data centers, not for dynamic cloud environments. And so as we expanded globally and adopted multi-cloud providers, the systems just couldn't keep up. And this leads to delays, blind spots, inconsistencies in security. And then from a cost standpoint, running secrets infrastructure takes more than just software. It's people, it's hardware, it's security audits, it's constant patching. And so as cloud native services scale, the legacy secrets management tools are, they look extremely wasteful. And then finally, from a developer friction standpoint, developers are the engines of our innovation. So when secret infrastructure becomes a blocker, business velocity suffers. And it's not just annoying, it's also costly. So let's dig into a little bit about the around the scalability challenges. So when you look at traditional vaults, because they were designed for on-premise or static environments, they have a hard time scaling to adapt to growth. So imagine you are a retailer, and as a retailer, you have times of the season that are that where you have heavy load. So you scale up your applications, and then other times of the season you scale down the applications you have. But because legacy solutions aren't designed for this this type of elastic environment, what you'd have to do is you'd have to over provision, and so it becomes wasteful from that standpoint. Additionally, because they're designed for static environments, when you get into multi-cloud, you now have to reproduce these systems in other environments, and now you have to think about how are you going to sync secrets from one vault to the next vault. How do you rotate them and keep them updated? And so now you have enclaves of secrets in different environments that aren't necessarily synchronized with one another. And this contributes to the scalability challenges regarding legacy systems. So from a cost standpoint, before we get into the technical limitations of legacy systems, it's important to understand, what's the full weight of resource overhead tied to those systems. These older on-premise solutions come with a heavy and underestimated financial burden. They require specialized people to operate. They create significant drag on your day-to-day operations. They demand inefficient infrastructure investment that simply don't align with modern cloud-native environments. So from a people cost standpoint, managing legacy secrets infrastructure is labor-intensive and expensive, requires specialized skill sets, not necessarily always easy to find. You need dedicated teams. The expertise is very niche, and so often it's costly, hard to find, and hard to retain those type of roles. And when you do have those roles open, they often stay open for a considerable amount of time. From an operational standpoint, these legacy systems introduce other efficiencies that slow down the team. So think about maintenance, upgrades, compliance requirements or tasks that eat into the engineering hours. You're spending a lot of time managing these platforms as opposed to using the platforms. And then we've already covered the infrastructure waste component of it. If you need to scale up, you're going to need to over provision your environment so that it's able to handle those loads, even in times of the year where it's not needed. Right, and so then we get into the developer friction, effort and friction. Legacy secrets management solutions, it's not just a burden on security teams. It also slows down developers, especially when they were never designed for fast-moving cloud-native development. And so as a result, they introduce obstacles at every stage of the software development cycle. And so, from an innovation standpoint, developers can face long delays getting access to secrets due to manual approval processes, complex integrations with outdated systems, and then provisioning new credentials can be slow and require workarounds or custom code in order to handle. Then you have the operations burnout. And so every hour spent manually rotating a secret or troubleshooting failures is an hour you're not spending building your software or code. And this takes a toll. It takes a toll on productivity, on morale, on retention. Developers didn't sign up to babysit secrets management and vaults. And organizations are paying the price in slower output and rising turnover. And so, one of the common things that you see in these type of environments is the workarounds, right? So the intended solution doesn't really solve the problem the developer is facing, and therefore they have to resort to other workarounds, maybe keeping secrets in other type of environments that aren't sanctioned. And so they bypass best practices. They bypass the controls that were put in place in order to be able to do their job effectively. And so that creates opportunities for increased attack surface and credential compromise, and ultimately either breaches or compliance violations. So what is the solution? So there's a better path forward. We want to say goodbye to secrets. This whole concept of secretless or ephemeral. And so, when you embrace ephemeral credentials, when you embrace workload identity and developer first approach, you can start to eliminate the friction points we discussed earlier. You can start to optimize costs and also have the ability to scale accordingly. So what are ephemeral credentials? So they essentially allow us to create secrets on demand as needed. They have a predetermined amount of time that they last for, and then they auto expire. So you don't need to waste time trying to figure out, is the secret still out there? Who's using it? Has it been rotated? All of those problems go away because it's ephemeral. It spins up as it's needed, and when it's no longer needed, it terminates and can no longer be used. And if you need another secret, you just create it on demand. Sort of a credential or secrets factory, if you will. And then with workload identities, this brings cloud native principles to authentication. So instead of relying on stored secrets or hard coded secrets, machines can prove who they are using verifiable identity signals. And in environments where you don't have, where cloud identity isn't a viable option, then you have other mechanisms to be able to provide identity to those systems that are not tied to the cloud environments. And so from a developer first standpoint, it creates an environment that is fast, that is simple, secure to access without friction. It doesn't require constant maintenance and management. And this is the approach that is needed for kind of where we're going today in terms of secretless, cloud native, and so on. So one of the things that we looked at internally here, as we work with customers, we meet clients at various stages of their security journey, and so we put together a modern solutions framework for secrets management. And if you do request this at the end of this presentation, we'd be happy to send it to you. Essentially goes through four stages. The first stage is kind of ad hoc exposed secrets. There's a questionnaire that walks you through to see which stage you're at, and then recommendations for what you can do to move on to the next stage. Second stage is siloed vaulting. So this is your traditional vaults for your traditional data centers. That may be sufficient for what you need, but again, depending on where your business is going, whether you need to be in not just a single cloud environment, but multi-cloud or even hybrid cloud, then you can start to look at other approaches for effectively managing secrets across those different environments. And then the third stage of that is unified and automated, which is the recommended approach is because you have many different components that don't necessarily talk to one another, and rather than managing them separately, you can manage all of it in a single unified environment. And then finally, we go into the secretless and zero knowledge. So this is where you no longer rely on static secrets. You're using federated authentication. You're using dynamic secrets. You're consistently rotating secrets. So, if you don't have any long-lived credentials to manage, then you're effectively creating a secretless and zero knowledge. You're operating in that type of framework. So let's talk about Akeyless, right? That's the solution that we are known for, which is our unified secrets management and machine identity platform. So from a unified standpoint, it's one system for all types of environments. It doesn't matter whether you're on-premise or hybrid, multi-cloud, single cloud. It doesn't matter whether you have infrastructure or not. We can essentially deploy our service to meet all of those requirements through our stateless Docker gateway. So essentially, the gateway becomes a proxy to our global SaaS, and you can deploy the gateway anywhere you need secrets. So if you need a secret on-prem, you deploy an Akeyless gateway there. If you need a secret in the cloud, you deploy a gateway there. And the really nice thing is that all of those gateways talk to one another by default. Of course, you can add access controls and restrictions to segregate and isolate environments as needed, but you no longer need to worry about, how do I sync my secrets? How do I get a secret from the cloud to a workload on premise? And then when you need to migrate that workload from on-premise to cloud, there's nothing extra that you need to do because the environment is unified, or secrets management is unified across the board. With regards to zero knowledge security, one of the key differentiators that Akeyless has is what we call our distributed fragments cryptography. Essentially, with distributed fragments cryptography, you are operating in an environment where not, the vendor Akeyless in this case, it doesn't know your secrets, right? So kind of the best of both worlds. You have the ability to use a SaaS solution that allows you to manage your secrets without having to dedicate time and resources and infrastructure to, while at the same time, the vendor can't access your secrets. And then all of the capabilities around what is required for modern solutions, things like dynamic secrets, just-in-time access, integration with cloud native tools, disaster recovery. It's all built into the platform. So rather than spending time managing a secret, you're, from day one, you're utilizing the platform with all of those capabilities built in. So that's pretty much it for my presentation today. I'd like to stop here and open it up to Q&A if anyone has questions.
So thank you, Fahmi. That was a great presentation. And I do have a few questions that have come in. Please, if you have questions, you can still enter them in the question box. So here, oh, sorry about that, just a moment. Do you see any risks with using ephemeral credentials, like traceability issues for incident response?
That's a good question. Traceability is important for security, for incident response. And, while ephemeral and dynamic secrets generated by Akeyless are short-lived by design in order to minimize risk, we ensure full traceability through, our auditing system, as an example. You're able to trace every single transaction, every item is logged, and even those dynamic secrets that are generated are tied to who generated them, right? So whether it's a human individual or if it's a non-human identity that's generating those dynamic secrets. So ultimately, there's no issue with traceability. Because all of the transactions across the boards are logged and audited, and there's a centralized record for all of those transactions. Additionally, while we log it ourselves in our platform and make it available for the customer, we also have the ability to log forward, right? So if you have an environment where you need to ingest those signals in your specific tools, then we can send you the both the log data and metrics around things like Grafana and Prometheus type metrics that you can ingest as well.
So if you share an ephemeral credential with, let's say, a third-party provider, you will know if and when they used it. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So you have access roles. You have RBAC. We tie into things like SAML, if you're using Okta or Azure AD. So you can tie that into what your third-party provider is using, right? And so based on that, you can grant them scope down custom secrets that they can generate only for the specific systems that they're allowed to access. And all of that, again, is audited and tracked, so you know exactly who requested it and where that secret is going and how long it's used for, and so on.
Thanks. Another question that just came in. If it's so seamless to provision and deprov clients using ephemeral accounts and so on, why are the licensing most of the time so restrictive? Prices in HashiCorp, Conjur, etc. are insanely expensive. So can you speak to that, Fahmi?
Speaking about, well, I can't really speak to pricing from other vendors. I think what we're doing is we have a legacy approach that we're trying to adapt to modern environments, and so there are.
You mean in HashiCorp, and you mean in those pricing models?
Yeah, mm-hmm. from an overall standpoint.
And that's what's causing the pricing to be crazy in those other secrets managers.
I mean, that's what I'm hearing, but I don't have any direct experience with those other those other vendors, so I really can't speak authoritatively.
This person who's asking, I won't say your name because I'm assuming you want to stay anonymous, but this person who's asking seems to have some experience, but who knows? Yeah. Okay. So
that's a great question.
Yeah. Let's see. I believe we have another question here. How do you deal with developers hard coding credentials into containers or CI pipelines before adopting a platform like this?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things you can do. So if you know kind of your workflow and how secrets are being used, you can adopt a platform. Train maybe a smaller subset of your developers and start to onboard them onto the new system. Another approach is you can look at detecting secrets, right? So you can scan for where those secrets are used and who's using them, and then you can use that as kind of your baseline to understand where your secrets are being used or hard-coded in a way that they shouldn't be, and then you start to develop a plan for how to get those secrets off of hard-coded type environments. I think at the end of the day, developers want something easy, and they don't want complexity, right? So if you can give them something that is easier than what they're doing, you don't have to hard code. Why would you hard code if you can give them access and a path, and they can just put the path to the secret, and they can request it on demand? That's much easier than having to hard code secrets. So I think there's part of it is understanding where your secrets are. Another part of it is educating and showing them a better way.
And I think let's try and squeeze in another question that's come in here. What would be your red flags during a secrets audit that suggests the current system is a liability?
What would be my red flag to suggest the current system is a liability?
During an audit.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One is your environment. Again, there's different audit requirements, right? So if you are a retailer, if you have to be compliant to PCI, as an example, there are different considerations there around segregating networks and so on. There's also the risk of secret sprawl, right? So do you know where your secrets are? Do you know how secrets are set up in your environment? For example, I can think of one prospect I was speaking to last year who has a multi-million-dollar application, and they're hard coding their secrets into that application. Right, that's an immediate red flag. Another red flag is if you don't know where your secrets are, right? So imagine here's a real life scenario. I was speaking with a security auditor, pen tester, and one of the most successful engagements that they've had from their organization was a pen test that they've done where they were able to completely breach that environment through a credential that they found that was available since 2020. This conversation happened last year. So that credential was sitting in the customer's environment for 4 years, and no one knew what the service account was used for. It's difficult to try to remove a legacy account or cred if you don't have any way to tell whether it's being used or not, whether it's going to break something or not. So the safe thing to do is to just leave it in that type of framework. But with a solution like Akeyless, as an example, you can audit and see when a secret was first created, when it was last used, and when it was updated, right? So you can very easily see, I have this many secrets out there with these type of permissions that have not been used for the last X days or X months, right? And then very quickly start to remove those out of your environment. So from a security risk standpoint, I would say that's probably your biggest red flag, is having secrets that are sprawled and no one knows what they're used for or what permissions they have.
Okay, great. Thanks. So we're a little over time, so thank you everyone for sticking with us. And if we didn't get you to your question, we will be in touch after the talk. Again, you will all receive links to the on-demand webinar as soon as it's available. So thank you again, and thank you so much, Fahmi, for this really great talk.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.